Hey there. Have you ever been so lost in a daydream, maybe staring out a train window or sitting in traffic, that you just wished you could be somewhere else? Instantly, that deep, almost childish desire to just blink and be across town or across the world. It's a powerful fantasy. And what if I told you that the US Navy might have actually achieved it? In 1943, in the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, that a warship, with its entire crew, was teleported, vanished from one place and reappeared in another, in a flash of green light and a whirl of catastrophic consequences. Welcome back. I'm Ibnul J. Farabi, and this is Hidden Histories, the Untold Files. Today, we're untangling one of the most persistent and bizarre legends in the annals of American conspiracy theory, the Philadelphia Experiment. A story that blends cutting-edge wartime science, shadowy government programs, and terrifying accounts of men fused with metal, driven insane, or simply erased from existence. It's a tale that asks a fundamental question. Did the US military accidentally discover teleportation and invisibility during World War II? Or is this the ultimate urban legend, born from a cocktail of misunderstanding and imagination? Let's start with the core legend, the story as it's been told in books, documentaries, and late-night radio shows for decades. The year is 1943. The Allies are desperate to gain any technological edge in the Battle of the Atlantic. A secret Navy project, codenamed Project Rainbow, is underway. The goal? To render the USS Eldridge, a cannon-class destroyer escort, invisible to enemy radar. The method? Using Albert Einstein's unified field theory to bend light and reality itself around the ship. The story goes that on a day in either July or October of that year, the generators on the Eldridge powered up. A strange green fog enveloped the ship. And then, in front of stunned witnesses, the Eldridge vanished from the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. But it didn't just become invisible. It allegedly teleported, instantly reappearing over 200 miles away in the Norfolk Naval Station in Virginia. Minutes later, it vanished again and returned to Philadelphia. A successful teleportation experiment. But the cost was horrifying. Sailors were said to have been found fused with the ship's bulkheads. Others suffered severe mental trauma, vanished entirely, or would spontaneously combust in front of their families years later. The project, according to the lore, was immediately shut down and buried under layers of top-secret classification. So where on earth did this story come from? The trail leads us to a single, enigmatic figure, Carl Meredith Allen, who went by Carlos Allende. In the late 1950s, Allende began sending handwritten letters to astronomer and UFO researcher Morris K. Jessup. Allende claimed to have witnessed the Eldridge experiment from a nearby merchant ship, the SS Andrew Furuseth. His letters were filled with erratic punctuation, wild claims, and references to advanced physics. He described sailors freezing in place or burning with a cold fire. Jessup was intrigued, and the letters eventually found their way to the Office of Naval Research. Strangely, the ONR took an interest, even commissioning a limited print run of Jessup's book with Allende's annotations scribbled in the margins. This official attention, however minor, became rocket fuel for the legend. It looked like a government confirmation. But here's the thing, Allende's story was full of holes. He got ship names and dates wrong. His own family described him as a gifted fabulist. He was the sole source for the entire, incredible narrative. The entire Philadelphia experiment mythos, in its most dramatic form, rests on the testimony of one very imaginative man. Now, let's bring in the cold water of documented history. The USS Eldridge was real. Its deck logs from 1943, which are publicly available, show it was never in Philadelphia on the key dates Allende cited. It was, in fact, deployed in the Atlantic and Mediterranean, escorting convoys. The Navy has consistently and flatly denied the experiment ever took place. But as we know on this show, a denial can sometimes just deepen the mystery. So, if it wasn't teleportation, what could have sparked such a vivid and enduring story? The most compelling theory points to a real, and still classified, wartime program, degaussing. Degaussing is a process where a ship's hull is wrapped with electrical cables to create a magnetic field, neutralizing the vessel's own magnetic signature. This made ships invisible to a very specific threat, magnetic mines. To a casual observer, seeing a ship being fitted with strange cables and generators and then hearing it was being made invisible could easily plant a seed of misunderstanding. Combine that with the known psychological experiments of the time, like the Navy's Project Chatter looking into truth serums, and you have a fertile ground for rumor. A sailor sees a degaussing test, hears a fragment of conversation about invisibility and psychological effects, and a legend is born. It's a classic case of a mundane truth morphing into a spectacular fiction through whispers and time. Sitting here in my studio in New York, thinking about this, I'm struck by something. I'm an engineer by training. I look for logic, for evidence, for a clear signal in the noise. And by that standard, the Philadelphia experiment as a literal event falls apart. The evidence just isn't there. But as a storyteller, I'm fascinated by its incredible staying power. Why does this story, of all stories, persist? I think it taps into a profound human anxiety about the pace of our own ingenuity. World War II was an era of terrifying, leapfrog advancements. Radar, jet engines, the atomic bomb. The line between science fiction and military reality was terrifyingly thin. The Philadelphia experiment legend is a cultural manifestation of that fear. It's a warning fable. What if our science advances so quickly that it outruns our humanity? What if we unlock a fundamental force of the universe, not with wisdom, but with wartime desperation? The image of men fused into the metal of their ship is a perfect, horrific metaphor for technology consuming its creators. It's a myth for the atomic age. In the end, the truth of the Philadelphia experiment likely lies not in a naval dry dock, but in the murky waters of human psychology. It's a mosaic of a real degaussing technique, the mysterious aura of Einstein's unfinished work, the tall tales of a lonely drifter, and our own deep-seated fascination with the impossible. It reminds us that sometimes the most compelling hidden histories aren't the events that were covered up, but the stories we collectively choose to believe and the fears they reveal about ourselves. The USS Eldridge had a long, quiet career after the war, eventually sold to the Greek Navy. It was scrapped in the 1990s. No green fog, no teleportation, just the slow recycling of steel. But the story it inspired? That's still very much alive, shimmering just on the edge of our reality. Thank you for listening to this episode of Hidden Histories, The Untold Files. If these journeys into the shadows of the past intrigue you, please consider subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. It truly helps us keep digging. For more from me, Ibnul J. Farabi, and the entire team, visit our home at Light Not Studios. https://www.lightnotstudios.com. Until next time, keep questioning the story you think you know.